I'm taking a nap. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I kind of went back in time a touch a couple months ago, and I got a game from the Pro Chess League 2020 between Wei Yi and of China and Wesley So of the United States, formerly from the Philippines. It's not a crazy long game. It's pretty short, so we won't be here forever. You know, like I say all the time, you know, at the end of the video, for all those diehard chess fans that love tactical puzzles and combinations and stuff like that, I have the answer to the previous puzzle, and I'll be putting a new puzzle up there for you. I like puzzles; they're pretty interesting. You know, you get a chance to kind of you know, recognize patterns and, you know, just kind of test your vision of different positions and things like that. So yeah, if you guys are ready, let's get rolling. Let's see what we got here. Bam. All right, so we have B3, E5, Bishop B2. So you see we have the Nimzowitsch-Larsen on the board here. And so, you know, there's two main schools of thought as far as chess is concerned. There's either, you know, you want to occupy the center with pawns, which is the, you know, the romantic or classical school. And then you have the hyper modern school that basically feels like you can control the center with pieces from afar. And now it comes from this guy here. So this is Aaron Nimzowicz's book, right? My system, right? And, you know, he was one of the main proponents of that system. So, you know, the bishop b2s and bishop g2s, bishop b7, bishop g7s, you know, that's kind of where that comes from. There's a lot of modern openings that we have that have a lot of like fianchettos of bishops and stuff like that. So, you know, you can kind of mix both of them together and, you know, come up with some nice chess play. So anyway, moving on, we have knight to c6. All right, so we have e3, f6, bishop to b5. And now, like I was saying before, I mean, we're in a hyper modern situation as far as white is concerned. So, you know, it's not as important for us to have pawns on e4 and d4 because, you know, we're controlling and trying to influence the center with bishops. And, you know, of course, this particular situation, I mean, you're trying to snap off this knight so you can grab this pawn. So that's a pretty direct threat here. So we have queen to e7 defending against that. All right, so we have knight to c3. And we got a6, and we don't want to lose the bishop, so we back it up to c4 here. So we have g6. So black is doing a little bit of hyper modern on their own. All right, so we got h4, h5, knight to f3. So bishop to g7. We got knight to g5. This actually just kind of like wastes tempo completely. It's not really threatening anything. You know, you're definitely not threatening after castles to take the pawn here, because you're just going to be giving up two pieces for a rook and a pawn, which isn't an equal trade. So Wesley So says, I don't believe you. Let me go ahead and just castle. Hate that up. And so we see castles by white. And so we see d6, you know, the final piece of the puzzle. You know, we're trying to get this bishop out at some point on this diagonal. So d6 is perfectly opening up the way for the bishop. And so we have f4. And something I want you to notice, the computer gives black about a +1 here in this position. Something I want you to notice is what white's doing with their pawns in front of their king. So a lot of the times, you know, when you're playing the game, you hear a lot of people say, you know, you don't want to be moving the pawns in front of your king because it's going to be, you know, causing you to be very weak. And so it's perfectly true in this situation. You know, we have h4 played, and then now we're trying to open up the game with f4. And so if you notice, you know, there's only one pawn really kind of protecting the king. And so, you know, this is a very, very weak position. This is a very, very weak structure right here for white. And so it's not something that you want to do in front of your king, is move a bunch of pawns. So that's, you know, pretty much why, you know, black is being given considerably better score here in this particular position. So we have bishop to g4. And so, you know, we're trying to knock this queen away, and, you know, we're developing our bishop with tempo. So that's always good when you can gain, you know, you can develop with tempo, best case scenario. All right, so we got queen to e1. And so we have e4. All right, we got queen to g3, and we have knight to b4. And so, I mean, knight to b4 is, I mean, just, you know, just perfectly logical. You know, there's just like, you know, you're targeting the the weak pawn here on c2. And there's not like the greatest way to defend it. So it's multi-purposeful. I mean, you're trying to attack this pawn here, this weak pawn, but then you're also trying to, clear the way so that you can push this c pawn and just get some more central space and stuff like that. So, so we see a3, kind of setting a little trap. Of course, you don't want to go pawn grabbing and trap your knight. And, that's going to be the best possible reply to that knight to b4 move. We see d5. Now, you don't want to go, so if we go back to knight to b4, I mean, you don't want to do something like knight f to c1, because you're going to see d5 come, and then bishop comes back. And then, like I said before, you have c5 coming. And so, you just kind of have some problems here as white. I mean, you don't have your pawns very far advanced. And I mean, black is just basically just doing some severe expansion here on the queen side. And so, it's not, you're becoming very, very cramped as white. And so you don't want that. So like I said, we had d5. And so we got bishop to e2, challenging this this nicely placed bishop on g4. And so we have d4. And so we see bishop takes g4, pawn takes c3, bishop takes c3. We have knight b to d5. Now, like I was saying before, guys, you want to make sure that, when you're moving your rooks or you moving your knights, because they both have the ability to go, show up on the same square. Of course, bishops don't, because there's different, they have different colors. You want to make sure that you note exactly which one moved. So knight b to d5 is going to be the one we have moving. And so we see bishop takes f6. We got bishop takes f6, and we have bishop takes h5. Now, there's no exclam on this because it's not a legitimate sacrifice. It's pretty much just losing a piece. Of course, your dream, your dream is to have black, capture the bishop like in a bad way. So but of course, black's not going to do that. So we see bishop takes a1. Of course, if we had in this particular position, if we had pawn taking h5, you'd see knight takes e4 with check. King would probably go to h8. You see queen to f3, bishop taking a1, which is the best move you can do in the position. Queen would take h5 with check. The king would have to move back over to g8, and you see queen takes d5 and bishop back to g7. So this is a thoroughly good position for black, because I mean, even though you have the 4 pawns, you're in a situation where you have both rooks. And so, pawns are going to like drop over here on this side, and you're just going to be able to overwhelm the queen. The queen is kind of overloaded protecting this knight here. So taking it back to what we have, where we have bishop takes a1 and we have rook takes a1. And if you want to stop the video here and see what black actually played, go ahead and do so, and we'll catch up with you in a second. All right, cool. So I'm gonna show you the super wrong variation. So before I tell you what Wesley So played, I'm gonna show you the super horrible wrong variation. And in this position, it is g takes h5, and so it leads to a very, very fast checkmate. And so you're gonna have knight to e6, check, and you're gonna have king over. It really doesn't matter where the king moves to. You're gonna deliver checkmate on g7. And then the only way is to try to throw the queen in the way. So we didn't do that. And so, yeah, if you came up with the move queen to f6, then you're a gangster. Number one, I mean, you're attacking this, you're attacking this undefended rook in the corner, and you're also defending g7, which is the tender square that we just talked about a second ago. So now you don't have that checkmate coming. And so after the rook moves, now you can take, because you don't have a discovered attack threatening, checkmate on g7. So that was the importance of queen moving to f6. And so we see f5. All right, we got queen to d6. Taking so basically all of black's movements have been attacking undefended pieces. So that's something that white was having a big, some big problems with, as far as, the rook was undefended over here and the queen's undefended right here. So black is just picking at every, undefended piece that white has in their position. So we block with rook to f4. which just kind of gives the rook away. And so we see knight takes f4, and we got knight takes e4 with a discovered attack on the queen here. And it's a check on the king. So the king moves to h8, but it is in this position that white actually resigns. I mean, the most obvious situation is the fact that you have 4 pieces here for black and you only have 2 for white. And the unfortunate thing is you don't have the ability to grab this queen, because then you're going to see knight to e2 check. And then after the king moves, something like that or something, you're going to, you know, take back here, king would take, and then the pawn would take. And as you can see, this is like mating in like 27. No, I'm playing, but it looks like it is. Anyway, that is the round 4 game with Wei Yi versus Wesley So. And so, like I said, for those diehard chess fans out there, I got your puzzles. And so, you know, this was a clearance sacrifice puzzle. And I pretty much, when I was looking at it, I kind of thought of every move but the right move. So hopefully you guys were geniuses and went ahead and discovered rook takes f3. And so, you know, if you take back with the king, and you're going to be forced into, you know, a checkmate, you know, with queen coming to f4. So you take with the queen, but then you're going to be delivering check, you know, with queen to d2. And so you have king to g1. And so you have bishop. So you have bishop to f2 with check. And so the king is kind of stalemated almost. And so the king will come back to f1. And so you see knight to d4. And so after bishop takes, you'd have king takes, or you'd have queen takes, and then king would come to e2, and the rook would take on h1. Bishop would take f2, queen would take b1. You'd see g5, and then the queen would come over to f1 with check. And you can see that the material loss is pretty great for white. And so it's a real computer situation, you know, with all the moves that you had to find. But this is y'all's next puzzle, yep. So this is the next puzzle here, and it is a what is the puzzle? It is a discovered attack. So I'm sorry, it's a discovered attack. So that is this one. And so like I said, put it on your board if you have one, or, you know, put it in your chess engine or something so that you can see it on a board. And I will give you the answer in the next video. So I appreciate it, guys. Subscribe and like, comment. Let me know how you like everything, and I will see you guys next time. All right.